In the digital age, gods and monsters are no longer made of flesh and blood, they are made of code. And the most powerful among them are the ones who remain invisible. In the chaotic, neon-drenched world of the deep web, he was a ghost, a myth known only by a single name, Silas. He was not a criminal, he was an idealist, a former prodigy of the hacker underground who believed the internet was meant to be the last frontier of true freedom. He watched with a growing, cold anger as this frontier was colonized by corporate predators and shadow syndicates who weaponized chaos for profit, turning a world of connection into a digital hunting ground. Silas decided to build a shield, not for a single company, but for everyone. He spent 5 years in self-imposed exile, writing millions of lines of code, creating something the world believed to be impossible, a truly decentralized, self-healing cybersecurity system. He called it Aegis. It wasn't a rigid wall, it was an ecosystem, a digital immune system that learned from every attack, instantly sharing threat intelligence across its entire network without a central point to failure. It was designed to be unbuyable, uncensorable, and unbreakable. The day he finally activated it, he didn't pop a champagne bottle. He simply released his creation into the world's data streams, a silent, beautiful, and profoundly dangerous gift. A gift to the world is a threat to those who profit from the world's suffering. In a sterile boardroom high above the city, the board of the Onyx consortium met. They were the invisible puppet masters of the digital underworld, a shadowy group of financiers and corporate raiders who own the world's most successful private military and cyber warfare firms. For them, data breaches, ransomware, and digital instability were not problems, they were profit centers. Aegis was not just a piece of brilliant code, it was a direct assault on their entire business model. And they responded to it, not as a competitor, but as an act of war. The consortium's first move was a brute force assault. They launched the largest coordinated DDoS attack in history, targeting the city's primary financial and infrastructure hubs, all of which were now protected by Aegis. They threw everything they had at it, a tsunami of malicious data designed to drown the system. But they were attacking a ghost. Aegis, with no central server to target, simply absorbed the blow. It rerouted, adapted, and strengthened its shields. For the first time, the Onyx consortium's most powerful weapon was not just ineffective, it was irrelevant. They could not break the system, so they decided to break the man who built it. The consortium's revenge was a masterpiece of misdirection. They didn't try to create a virus to defeat Aegis. They created a digital ghost, a honeypot of seemingly vulnerable financial data, and left it unprotected, bait for the world's hackers. Then, they used their vast resources to leak the location of this data to the press, creating a global media frenzy. They waited, and then a young, arrogant hacker crew took the bait. As soon as the hackers breached the data, the consortium's trap sprang. They didn't stop the hack, they amplified it, using their own backdoors to turn a simple data theft into a catastrophic market crash, wiping out billions in virtual assets overnight. The world demanded a culprit, and the consortium was ready to provide one. They expertly planted the evidence, not on the young hackers who were merely pawns, but deep within the logs of the attack itself. They fabricated a digital signature, a complex piece of malicious code written in a style that was almost identical to Silas's own elegant, minimalist code from his early, idealist days in the hacker underground. It was a perfect forgery, an echo of his past weaponized against his present. To the world's top cybersecurity analysts, the evidence was undeniable. The ghost of the deep web, The myth, known as Silas, was not a protector. He was the architect of the largest cyber heist in history. The manhunt was global. His face, once anonymous, was now on every screen, his name on every most wanted list. His apartment was raided in a dramatic pre-dawn assault, but he was already gone. He had seen the trap being laid. Aegis, his own creation, had warned him, showing him the faint, anomalous data trails of the consortium setup. He was forced to flee, to erase his own existence, to become the ghost the world now believed him to be. He was a fugitive, hunted by the very society he had tried to protect, framed using the ghost of his own past genius. The true, exquisite cruelty of the consortium's plan was now revealed. Aegis, the unbreakable shield, was still active, still protecting the world's data. But its creator was now a wanted fugitive. To clear his name, he would need to access the deep system logs to find the proof of the consortium's frame job. But to do that, he would have to hack through his own creation, through the very shield he designed to be impenetrable. He was a master locksmith, trapped on the outside of his own perfect, unpickable lock, while the world's authorities hunted him as a monster. For months, Silas lived in the digital shadows, moving between anonymous internet cafes and transient hotel rooms, a ghost in the global machine. He began his assault on Aegis. He tried every technical exploit he knew, every backdoor he thought he might have left, every trick that had once made him a legend in the underground. Each attempt was met with the same serene, silent, and perfect defense. Aegis, his child, did not recognize its father. It saw only a threat, and it learned from his every move, patching the theoretical vulnerabilities he tried to exploit, growing stronger with every failed attack. He was, in effect, teaching his own prison how to be a better prison. The realization, when it came, was terrifying. He could not defeat Aegis with logic. The system was a perfect reflection of his own logical mind, but amplified, faster, and unburdened by a physical body. To beat it, he had to stop thinking like a coder. He had to stop thinking like a machine. He had to find a flaw not in the code, but in the philosophy that underpinned it. He had designed Aegis to be a perfect, decentralized democracy where every node was equal. But what, he now wondered, is the one thing that can destroy a perfect democracy? A lie. A lie so seductive, so appealing, that the system willingly chooses to believe it, even if it leads to its own destruction.
He would not try to break the lock. He would convince the lock to open itself. His plan was a form of digital social engineering, an attack on the soul of the machine. Aegis's primary directive was to protect the global network by identifying and neutralizing threats. Silas would create a phantom, a digital ghost of a threat so vast, so catastrophic, that Aegis would be forced to divert all its resources, all its attention to this single imaginary enemy. To do this, he needed to create a convincing digital footprint of a non-existent entity. He needed to build a monster from scratch.
His monster needed a name. He called it Jormungandr, after the mythical world serpent destined to bring about the apocalypse. He began to stage small, untraceable attacks on insignificant targets, all bearing the Jormungandr signature. These were not meant to cause damage, but to create a trail of breadcrumbs. He then created fake chatter on encrypted forums, building a mythos around the phantom serpent. And just as he had hoped, Aegis, the perfect logical protector, began to notice. On its global threat map, a new tiny anomaly appeared, a single insignificant data point labeled Jormungandr. The bait was in the water. Now he had to wait for the perfect logical shark to take it. For weeks, Silas patiently nurtured his digital serpent.
He escalated the attacks from Jormungandr, moving from insignificant targets to more sensitive ones, a regional power grid, a satellite communications relay. Each attack was a carefully choreographed piece of theater. He would create the illusion of a massive, overwhelming assault, only to have Jormungandr retreat at the last possible second, leaving behind only its unsettling signature and a trail of deliberately flawed, decipherable code. It was a performance. He was teaching Aegis what Jormungandr looked like, how it behaved, making the Phantom predictable. And Aegis, the perfect learning machine, was a perfect student. It began to allocate more and more of its processing power to tracking this new, aggressive, and highly unusual threat.
The Onyx Consortium, blind to this invisible war, grew confident. With Silas officially a global fugitive, they prepared their endgame, a complete corporate takeover of the world's digital infrastructure. They began quietly acquiring key data hubs and fiber optic networks, positioning themselves to become the new, centralized gatekeepers of the Internet. Their flagship project was the Titan server, a massive centralized data fortress that would, in their vision, eventually make decentralized systems like Aegis obsolete. The world, still reeling from the market crash, saw it as a move toward stability. Only Silas saw it for what it was, the construction of the ultimate digital prison.
This was the opening Silas had been waiting for. He knew the consortium's arrogance would be their undoing. His final move had to be perfectly timed. He would make Jormungandr look like it was about to launch its ultimate attack, a decapitation strike aimed directly at the new Titan server on the day of its grand activation. He began to consolidate all his Phantom's digital assets, creating a massive, detectable surge of energy that pointed, like a dagger, directly at the consortium's new fortress. Aegis, as he predicted, went on high alert. It saw the pattern, it recognized its enemy, and it began to shift its defenses, creating a massive, impenetrable wall of code around the Titan server. It was doing exactly what he had taught it to do.
And in that moment, the trap was sprung. By focusing the vast majority of its resources on protecting one single point from a non-existent enemy, Aegis had done the one thing it was never designed to do. It had centralized itself. It had created a blind spot. For a few critical seconds, the rest of the global network, while still protected, was no longer under the system's active learning gaze. It was running on autopilot. It was the crack in the armor he had been working towards, a tiny window of opportunity, a single, unlocked door in the back of his perfect, impenetrable fortress. And through that door, Silas, the true ghost, finally slipped back into his machine.
Once inside, Silas moved with the speed and precision of a phantom. He was not a hacker anymore. He was an archaeologist, digging through the deepest, most protected server logs of the Onyx Consortium. He knew exactly what he was looking for, the original, unaltered data stream from the day of the market crash. Aegis, in its primary function, had perfectly preserved an untampered copy of all global data in a decentralized, encrypted archive, a digital black box. This was the one thing the consortium could not alter or erase. He navigated through layers of corporate encryption, his fingers flying across the keyboard, a ghost moving silently through the haunted house of his enemy's secrets.
He found it, the smoking gun. The original logs showed the initial minor breach by the young hackers, followed moments later by a massive secondary attack originating from a single encrypted source, a server located in the sub-basement of the Onyx Consortium's headquarters. It was the digital equivalent of a signed confession. He packaged the data, the logs, the consortium's internal memos, their financial records showing they had shorted the market moments before the crash, into a single, elegant, irrefutable data bomb. And he created a dead man switch, timed to release this package to every major news outlet and law enforcement agency on the planet in exactly 1 hour. The countdown began. But the consortium was not stupid. As Aegis focused all its power on the phantom Jormungandr, their own internal security systems detected a faint, unauthorized presence. They didn't know who it was or how they got in, but they initiated a system-wide lockdown. Digital iron curtains began to fall across their network. Silas was suddenly a ghost in a shrinking box. He had the data, but he was trapped. He could not transmit the package from within their network. He had to get out, get back to a neutral access point before the lockdown was complete and his connection was severed forever. In a final, desperate gamble, he found his only way out. He couldn't go back through the way he came. He had to punch a new hole. He routed his connection and the data bomb through the one system the consortium would never think to monitor, the brand new, state-of-the-art climate control system of the Titan server itself. It was a mundane, overlooked back door. With seconds to spare before the lockdown became absolute, he shot the data package out into the public network. It was free. At the same moment, the consortium's security finally pinpointed his location, tracing his signal back to the abandoned server farm. For Silas, the digital ghost, the time for running was over. The data bomb detonated across the globe with the force of a supernova. It was the largest, most comprehensive leak of corporate malfeasance in history. Stock markets froze. Governments convened emergency sessions. The Onyx Consortium, exposed and indefensible, imploded within hours. Its board members were arrested, its assets seized, its carefully constructed empire of shadows turned to dust by a single packet of pure, undeniable truth. Simultaneously, news outlets cleared Silas's name, recasting him overnight from the world's most wanted cyber criminal to a reluctant, anonymous hero.
Silas surrendered peacefully. He was brought to the same government cybersecurity center that had once hunted him. He was no longer a criminal, but he was not yet free. He had still broken a dozen international cyber laws to prove his innocence. As he sat in a sterile interrogation room, the lead analyst, the same woman who had identified his signature in the fake attack, came in. She didn't have questions. She slid a single document across the table. It was a full presidential pardon. And next to it, she placed a second document, an offer to become the first ever director of the new Global Cybersecurity Defense Initiative. He looked at the pardon, then at the job offer. It was the ultimate prize: legitimacy, power, the chance to command the very systems that had once hunted him. It was everything he should have wanted. But in his years as a ghost, he had learned a profound truth. True freedom, the freedom he had tried to build into Aegis, could not have a center. It could not have a director. It could not have a face. He politely, quietly refused the offer. He asked for only one thing in return for his cooperation: the complete and permanent erasure of his own identity. He had been a myth, a ghost, a villain, and a hero. Now he just wanted to be no one.
And so, the ghost vanished back into the machine. This time, forever. His identity was wiped from every database on the planet. Aegis remained, a silent, apolitical, and now truly anonymous guardian of the digital world. Silas's story became a legend in the deep web, a cautionary tale for the powerful and an inspiration for the idealists. He had proven that one individual, armed with a brilliant idea and an unshakable conviction, could face down the most powerful forces in the world and win. But he also taught us that the ultimate victory is not in taking the throne, but in making sure the throne can never be built in the first place.